Mizzou at Texas A&M for an SEC showdown. Texas A&M is a 2.5-point favorite in this one. Over under set at 49.5. Missouri this season, coming into this season, was supposed to be an offensive-led football team. That's what we thought about this football team. Bringing back Brady Cook, going in the transfer portal, bringing in Nate Noel, Marcus Carroll, Theo Weiss making his way back, Luther Burden making his way back. And if you look statistically at this team, yards, rush yards, pass yards, all those things, overall offense, they're not bad numbers. They're not bad numbers at all. But where this team really has struggled offensively for Missouri is making explosive plays. They've been able to grind it out. The running backs, I think, worked out really well. That was something that concerned me. Honestly, that was one of my biggest concerns for Missouri in the offseason was replacing Cody Schrader, the leading rusher in the SEC last year. The one of the best surprises that Missouri could have gotten from the walk-on guy. I mean, that was unbelievable what he did. So my initial reaction in the preseason was, okay, who's going to fill those shoes? You know, not to quote the country song here, but who's going to fill those shoes? And you go in, you get Nate Noel from App State. You go in and get Marcus Carroll from Georgia State, and it's worked out pretty well. I mean, both guys, Nate Noel, 6.4 yards per carry this year, a couple of touchdowns. Marcus Carroll, 4.7 yards a carry. He's more of the Thunder, you know, Nate Noel being the Lightning there, a couple of touchdowns. I felt like they've done a good job, you know, filling that void. But back to the explosive plays here for Missouri. This is the hang-up in this offense. Plays of 10-plus yards. They've got 60 of them. That's good for 76 in the country. 20-plus yards. There's 15 plays from scrimmage of 20-plus yards. That's good for 107th in the country. 30-plus yards. There's 7 plays of 30-plus yards from scrimmage. That's 94th in the country. So you get what I'm getting at here. 40-plus yards, tied for 93rd in the country with only 3. So this team has been able to dink and dunk down the field. They've been able to grind out drives. You know, time of possession, there's not like a huge deficit or anything. Like, they're sustaining drives. Third down conversion percentage, 54.69. That's good for 7th in the country. You know, and so whenever you look at this Missouri offense, it makes you scratch your head because you see all the playmakers on the roster. You know what they were last year. You see the production as far as the numbers on the surface, the yardage numbers and things. But then whenever you dig down, you start to see that this team has just not been very explosive. And as far as red zone touchdown percentage this year, they're 58th in the country. So 65% of the time that they get in the red zone, they score a touchdown. And that's where a lot of these issues are coming from and why you're seeing a ton of yards and the points not equaling out to the amount of yards that are being put on the stat book every week. Defensively for Missouri, there isn't really a category that you can look at that you don't love. The only thing that you can look at for Missouri's defense and that you don't like so far this season, it's not really like a havoc-creating team. It's a sound defensive team. They're very sound. Not a ton of sacks. Not a ton of tackles for loss. They're 94th in the country tackles for loss this year. They're 79th in the country sacks gained with 8. So while it has been a sound defense and hasn't allowed statistically teams to do a whole lot, they haven't been particularly disruptive. Now, kind of working our way over, and look, let me finish up on this defensively for Missouri. Missouri's defense hasn't played a bad game this season, really. I mean, you can say the Vanderbilt game, right? You could say the Vanderbilt football game allowed 27 points there. But with Missouri's offense, I mean, you've got to feel like if Vandy's scoring 27, you can score 42. I mean, just looking at the roster, right? So, like I said, tough times whenever they get in the red zone. Tough time putting points on the board. That's been the bugaboo for this offense. The defense hasn't cost this team really anything this season. The defense has been really, really good. And that's with your defensive coordinator leaving after last year. That's after losing a couple of NFL guys. Rakestraw being one of them, Ennis Rakestraw, a guy that I had a respect for there in the secondary. You bring in Corey Batoon there at defensive coordinator. It's been a seamless swap. It's been a seamless swap statistically this season. So let's talk about Texas A&M a little bit here. Texas A&M, we all know about the loss that they collected in the first week of the season. 23-13 there. Notre Dame coming into Kyle Field, getting the victory there. And offensively for Texas A&M, it's been a struggle this season. It's been a struggle. This team hasn't thrown for 200 yards in a football game yet, right? Le'Veon Moss has been the most consistent piece on this offense so far this season. 6.2 yards per rush from the running back position. And Mason just said that his internet crashed. That's all right. No problem, Mason. You're probably watching on your phone. Le'Veon Moss has been the best thing on this offense, the most consistent thing on this offense. 13 carries, 117 yards, 9 yards per carry average against Arkansas last week. So he's lathered up, ready to go for this football game. Marcel Reed took over for Connor Wegman. Texas A&M fans, you let me know in the comment section, is Connor Wegman coming back or what? I don't even know. And look, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how much it matters. I don't know how much it matters. I think Marcel Reed might just be your guy. But let's be clear about this. Marcel Reed is a freshman out of Nashville, Tennessee, 4-star prospect coming out of high school. So he was a guy that was wanted. You know, this was a highly recruited, highly sought after guy nationwide here. 54.4% completion so far this year, 585 yards. He has 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's really good. 42 carries, 230 yards. That's the most important part of this thing to me. Connor Wegman is never going to give you any of these yards on the ground. And right now, for Texas A&M's offense, Marcel Reed is supplementing the rushing game. And that's something that you really, really need out of this offense. You need all the help that you can get. There's no wide receivers that seem to be stepping up at this point for Texas A&M. Look, I mean, Moose Muhammad is supposed to be like your veteran go-to guy. It's just there's not a lot going on there in that wide receiver room, unfortunately. So it's run the football, right? You're going to be able to pass a little bit here and there, but it's run the football time. And I'm interested to see how Texas A&M's offense holds up in this football game as far as how they're going to move the football. I mean, just in general, I don't think it'll be through the air. 55th this year, rushing yards per game allowed for the defense, 123.8. That's not bad. 64th pass yards per game allowed. That's good. 207 yards per game. That's not bad. 30th in the red zone touchdowns allowed at 45.45. There's the strength of this defense, guys. It's not really any one particular thing, and to call it a strength, I mean, it is, I guess, a strength, but this is a bend, don't break style defense. It's not a completely shut you down, put you in 3 and out, and get the ball back immediately. That's not what this defense is, and that's not really what it's been. It's been more of a bend, don't break. I really like the secondary for Texas A&M. You've got to throw on this team with caution because they've caused some turnovers as far as with that secondary. Will Lee, standout cornerback. I believe he was a transfer corner coming from Kansas State, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I might be getting them mixed up. 6 pass deflections, an interception, and 20 tackles this season. He's been an absolute standout in the secondary. Marcus Ratcliffe's got 3 interceptions. And overall for this A&M defense, 4 forced fumbles and 7 interceptions for the defense so far this year. That's good for 11 takeaways, and that's really high in the country. So where Texas A&M, they do kind of give up some yards and some chunk plays at times. They've been really, really good at taking the football away, and they've been good at bowing up in the red zone, which is exactly bowing up in the red zone is what I'm talking about. That's exactly the issue that Missouri's had on offense. So it's going to be good on good here. It's going to be Texas A&M defense versus Missouri offense. What's supposed to be good on good for both of these programs, and I would say that Missouri's defense has obviously got the advantage over the Texas A&M offense in this one. Mason, can you explain to me why Texas A&M is favored in this football game, other than the fact that they're at home? because
It
I
really,
just don't see it.
yeah, it really doesn't make any sense to me. Even with this being a home game, I still have Missouri by a touchdown. Um, so to me, I mean, this doesn't make a ton of sense. When you look at what Marcel Reed has been able to do. I mean, yeah, he's looked great so far. Given that he's new, and still learning things out with this offense. But to me, you mentioned, yeah, you've got good on good with Missouri's offense versus Texas A&M's defense. I might give Texas A&M a slight edge there on the defensive side of the football, just given where Missouri is at right now as an offense. But then on the other side, you do have a pretty considerable advantage for Missouri and their defense going up against Texas A&M in this offense. But going back to Marcel Reed, I mean, this is going to be his first real test, I think. Um, this Missouri defense ranks fifth in the country in total yards, giving up just 219. Really impressive there. Yards per play, they're 12th in the country, giving up just over 4 yards per play. Yards per rush, 2.8. That's good for 22nd in the country. And passing yards, 127.2. That's eighth in the country. I mean, they're a top 25 defense in pretty much every metric, top 10 in a lot of metrics, and which is honestly really surprising. You say Missouri won't stop the run game, but um, they're doing a pretty good job of it so far. I think that they have fallen victim to some really close games where I'm not saying they're you know just head and shoulders above the competition that they're facing, but there were some turnovers and some weird things happening in the Boston College game, and I think that they are just a much better team than some of the teams that they faced that have been able to kind of keep it close. Overall with Missouri, Vanderbilt obviously being kind of the main one there, where they had to sneak by to win that game. Vandy's kind of a sneaky good team this year, though, and I think that Missouri just kind of found themselves in a rock fight and were able to come out on top, and I think that's the main takeaway there. But going back to this game, Texas A&M, they're going to have to figure out how to manufacture some points on offense. Obviously, I think that they're really going to struggle there with Marcel Reed. I think he's going to struggle in this football game, and Missouri is going to have some different packages and things to confuse the young quarterback. How he handles that, though, if he is able to score some points, I think that he's going to be a great quarterback, because I don't expect him to go out there and throw for 300 yards and three touchdowns and no interceptions or anything like that against this Missouri defense. Not this young or this early in his career, but if he is able to kind of score a bunch of points and throw for a lot of yards against Missouri, I think that he's going to be putting the rest of the SEC on notice. But like you said, Mark, I think that this is kind of the matchup to watch: the Texas A&M offense versus the Missouri defense. What are they going to do? Because it can make or break this football game. I think that you're pretty evenly matched on the other side, but this side of the football is going to be what dictates who wins this football game.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and Missouri's ability to score in the red zone. I mean, that's just going to be paramount in this football game. You got to be able to put touchdowns on the board, right? Because Texas A&M, that's look, they're going to struggle to put touchdowns on the board in this football game. If you can turn those field goals into touchdowns, Missouri can win this game comfortably, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't, for the life of me. Look, they typically say that home games, Vegas will give a couple of points for home. So I guess you could kind of say that Vegas has got this one. Essentially, it's a pick 'em, but Texas A&M having the home field advantage there, I just don't see it. Double O'Neill in the comment section, he says that he's taking A&M at home, and he thinks Missouri drops 3 games. Look, I totally see what you're talking about, and I don't know that I'm actually going to personally bet on this football game, just because of the fact that Missouri's offense has been so inconsistent and has not been able to get the ball in the end zone, and for that reason, it does scare me. I think it is possible it is possible that Texas A&M wins this football game. It's very possible. Over under sitting at 49.5 for that one. You know, that's a tough number there. I think this is going to be a pretty low scoring game. I think this one is won like 24-21 or something like that. I don't think this is a crazy high scoring football game. We'll see what happens this Saturday. We're going to finish breaking this game down all the way Tuesday night on the live show. We'll have a little more time to gather our thoughts, and we invite you guys to come join us on the show on Tuesday night, and we will check out more on this football game.